Uh, Thank you, ELS. I think we are ready to start. To the members on call, I want to welcome you to this one of the many series of young lawyers committee of ELS. ELS has been deliberate on capacity building for its membership, more so the young lawyers committee. We've had a series of discussions from how to start a law firm, how to get clients, how to manage law firm accounts and all that. We've talked about specialization in a law firm and a series of discussions. Today's topic is building Rainmakers, strategies for young lawyers to thrive in business development. If you have been following, about a month or two ago, there was a heated debate on so many social media handles on the challenges that young lawyers are facing in law firms. And I think ELS's intervention is that part of the issue is to see how an associate in a firm can ably become a rainmaker. Then away from the rainmaker of John Grisham, today we need to know what a rainmaker is and how to foster and build clientele in a law firm. How ably young lawyers in the region can take up this opportunity or opportunities that will be shared in this discussion to see that they do something that can make them better placed in their law firms. Today with me, interestingly, I've hosted and moderated several senior counsel, mostly from Kenya. My usual friend is senior counsel Ohaga. But today I'm hosting a panel of 3 senior counsel from East Africa. Senior counsel James Sebogeni will start us off. He's a partner at S&L DLA Piper. He's past president ULS. He is, lastly, he is chairman, if I may be corrected, of Trial Advocacy Uganda, which is a very good program, as I have stretched it. A good program on training in trial advocacy. He also convenes the strategic litigation program of ULS, which is held annually. So he's passionate about the practice, where it has been, where it is, and where it is going. We also have senior counsel Sadok Magoy. He's a partner at IMMA. Am I right?
IMMA.
IMMA.
Yes.
DLA Piper.
Yeah.
For this, it's not a DLA Piper affair, but we have chosen the best in the region and those that are passionate. So senior counsel Magai is a partner at IMMA, Tanzania. Is one of the DLA members, DLA Piper Africa members. So he'll also be taking us through the trajectory in Tanzania, how to go about, how to make yourself better placed as an associate or a partner in a law firm. I'm sure I've interacted with so many young lawyers, if I may say, in Tanzania. People like Hilton attorneys, they are doing so well. So senior will be sharing with us how they do it from that side. We have senior counsel still, Olivia Kiratu. So today's discussion should be taken as one of a kind where all members and panelists are senior counsel and they are ready to share with us Senior Counsel Olivia Kiratu is Head of Strategy, Growth and Connections. She has a huge background in business development, if I may say it, consultancies. So she will be giving us another trajectory away from onboarding a client, maintaining that client. How diverse can you be in your practice? How can you get business in consultancies and all that? This is where she will be driving us. Then lastly, we have a partner at Biencha Chihika. I know Biencha Chihika is trending, has been trending over social media. Still, they have a nice legal alert on intellectual property. Good decision that came out, I think, in their favor. I don't know. But Biencha Chihika is also a nice law firm here, one of the leading law firms, if I may say. Agatha is the vice chairperson of the Young Lawyers Committee of ELS. She will be taking us through the challenges. She has had member feedback from young lawyers. So I think hers is not even a presentation. She has it offhand. What are the young lawyers saying in the region? We always host meetings with her on the East African Young Lawyers platform. And we always try to dig out which topics, which areas should we face, how do we go about this? So I believe that what she presents today covers largely what is in the region. Without any further ado, I'll invite on call Senior Counsel James Sebugeni Mukasa to take us through his presentation. I'll allocate 25 minutes at most to each one of you. At the end of the discussion, before we close, we shall have a panel discussion, a hard talk discussion. We need to know who is the rainmaker at S&L and how has he done it? Those are the things that we need to know. It's not a bio talk of where have you been, what have you done. We need to know what to do to make better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our moderator this afternoon, Philip. Thank you, ELS, for giving me an opportunity to be part of this presentation, talking to the young lawyers. This topic brought to me something to my mind. What are you doing to influence the future? Being part of this panel gives me an opportunity to be part of the future, since I have virtually seen most of it. I was once a young lawyer, and I would wish the young lawyers to make as fewer mistakes as we made in the last 30, 40 years of our practice. My topic out of my subtopic out of the main topic will be business development techniques and strategies for young lawyers, and how you can thrive and become a rainmaker. My outline will be who is a young lawyer, the business development aspect of this whole topic, thriving in legal practice, and then I'll end up with the rainmaking aspect. So I thought I would set the stage in understanding who is a young lawyer. When we talk about a young lawyer, there are so many definitions, and they depend on the context and the jurisdiction. So that's what I found out, that some are recently graduated from law school, a lawyer that under the age of 35 and 40 years, I have my doubts about that, should be lower. A lawyer in their first 5 to 10 years, I think that fits more into the definition. And a lawyer who is in the early stages of their legal career and still developing their skills and expertise. That would be my understanding and definition, just to set the stage for all of us today. Then there is the aspect of what is business development. And I know my sister Agatha, the senior counsel from Kenya, will give us a better context of business development and what it is. But I thought I should set that stage and talk about it. To me, it's the process of identifying and pursuing new opportunities and expanding a business to generate and increase its revenue and improve its profitability. That's my understanding of what business development is. And I have come up with what I see as the elements of business development. There's market research, the competitors analysis, competitive analysis, identifying new business opportunities, building relationships with potential clients, developing and implementing business strategies, creating and executing business plans. Business plans are what you decide your business should be like. Are you a boutique law firm, an international law firm? Are you a small law firm? Are you an upcountry law firm? And then you understand what your plan is. Then there's identifying and pursuing new markets, products, and services, and then building and maintaining a network of contacts and connections. This is what business development is all about, from an academic study point of view as a module in a class. But let's take it to the context of a law firm. In the context of a law firm, business development deals with identifying new practice areas or industries to pursue, where you have expertise and you know that you have competence and you can make good money or thrive. Then there is a second aspect. It's the building relationships, potential clients, and referral sources. You've made contact and you really want to build the relationship. Then the third one is developing and implementing marketing and branding strategies. As lawyers, we're not supposed to market and advertise, but sometimes there are certain things which are the exceptions, which can help you market and brand yourself. So this is part of business development in the law context. Then there is identifying and pursuing new opportunities for growth and expansion. Remember, business development, growth, and expansion come together. Lastly, in creating and executing business plans for the firm or individual practice groups. There's the firm, but then there's also the individual practice groups. Nowadays, you see people going for the practice group retreat. Now, that is all part of business development. Its significance, I've put up something there. Again, if you look at the things which I've just talked about, the previous slide, it tells you the significance of business development. Then this whole thing about business development as a young lawyer, you need to understand that there are certain things and skills you need to develop. You need to develop strategic thinking. You need to develop your communication skills. You also need to understand and have a good grasp of negotiation skills. And then you also need to develop your problem-solving skills. Those are areas which we can't go in deeply today, but I'm just trying to point you in that direction. Then there is this aspect about thriving in legal practice. It's an interesting area, and for me, I only came up with two aspects. They are the tangibles and the intangibles. If I talk about the tangibles, those are the winning cases, making a lot of money, the big cars, living in a good house, the holidays, having top clients, being widely known. But basically, the tangibles are the personal fulfillment aspects, which you need. Then I also consider the intangibles. The intangibles are the most important to a young lawyer. That is professional growth, client satisfaction, financial stability, work-life balance. I'm still working on my work-life balance bit. I think it's still more of work. The life is still not balanced. Then there's innovation and creativity, leadership, reputation, and continuous learning. Those aspects, the intangibles, are very key in thriving in legal practice. Then there is this statement called rainmaking. For some of us who did not study in these fancy international schools, this can be like somebody telling you, I found the smoking gun in a criminal matter. So this term rainmaking, I thought I should delve into trying to clarify what it's all about. Rainmaking in legal practice refers to the ability of a lawyer to attract and secure new opportunities to generate revenue and grow the firm's business. A rainmaker is a lawyer who attracts profitable clients, turns relationships into revenue and opportunities into success, builds strong relationships and delivers exceptional value to clients, is proactive, adaptable, and resilient. Again, I've put up a few ideas there on tips on rainmaking, but I'll jump that slide because some of these things are repetitive. Then, like a cause of action or a criminal offense, they have elements of the cause of action or the characteristics which you need to look out for. And I came up with those characteristics of a rainmaker: being market savvy, business acumen, social skills, industry expertise, and a proactive approach. And then there are the key skills. I've already talked about those. And then I've also mentioned some traits there, which I came up with, but I'm jumping some of those slides. I hope this presentation will be given out or put on a website for ELS. So I'm jumping some of those so that I can go straight to the main aspects of this particular presentation and session part, which I'm covering. So the lawyers and the young lawyers want to hear about the tips on rainmaking. Remember, I've tried to give a definition of rainmaking. You have to develop a unique value proposition as a young lawyer from the word go. You have to understand where your strengths are, your competence, and then utilize that and become somebody who has a value proposition to the clients. It requires a deep understanding of your client's need and pain points. It requires positioning your unique skills and expertise and approach as ideal solutions. You also need to understand how to emphasize the specific benefits you can provide. You're not a jack of all trades. Try to position yourself as somebody who has expertise, competence, and a passion in a particular area. Because clients want to see passion in the things you're projecting yourself to be capable of providing and doing. Highlighting your differentiators from the competitors. Don't always try to pretend that you're as good as your competitor. What are you doing to differentiate yourself? That is very key. Half the time I see young lawyers pitching with a very senior lawyer, and he is trying to give credentials like the senior lawyer. Try to create that differentiator. Then conveying your commitment to delivering exceptional personalized service. This does not come out of just the words and the repetition of that aspect, but you have to show it. I always say consistency in the delivery of the value proposition you're making. Then the other one is mastering the art of effective networking. Networking is a crucial skill for a young lawyer looking to thrive in business development and in legal practice. You have to build genuine connections and leverage your professional network. Unlock new opportunities. What is your network? The golf club members, the sailing club, the church where you go, your community, your classmates, the people you went to class with in the years you were in school, who went to different professions. Those are some of the areas of your networks and how you utilize them. There's a network I always find very interesting of strangers versus friends you've known for so many years. I have discovered that the strangers are more committed to being good clients than friends who you have grown up with. And this one can be talked about by the rest of the other panelists here today. Identifying the right networks, events, and attending those events and conferences. Choose what are those events which are relevant to propel your branding, reputation, and growth as a young lawyer. Prepare thoughtful questions and be an active listener. There's nothing as bad as asking the wrong questions. Then there's something about utilizing social media strategically. This one, I think the young lawyers are better placed to talk about it much more than I have. But those are my ideas up there on that slide, and I will leave it there because I believe you, the young lawyers, you have an opportunity. Social media and digital transformation agenda should be part of your ability to thrive and propel yourself to the next level. Identify a niche expertise and continuous learning. What is that area where you're strong? What is that area where you have developed an interest? You have a passion. That is popularly presenting or emerging. Look out, there are different things. I made a presentation at the Young Lawyers Symposium a few months ago, and I analyzed yesterday's lawyer, today's lawyer, and tomorrow's lawyer, the future lawyer. Put yourself in a situation whereby whatever expertise, whatever niche you're trying to place yourself into, you are going to become a guru. There are so many emerging areas of practice which you young lawyers have an opportunity to beat us, the seniors, at, because we are a little bit analog, and so you can beat us to that. Areas relating to digital transformation agendas, that is your niche. Attend the conferences and the webinars. Build a reputation as a leader by providing insights and commentaries where you have strength. Developing strong communication skills. This might actually require attending some communication skills trainings. I did one. I went to NITA in Colorado to help me improve my communication skills. And by teaching trial advocacy, I've sharpened. One of the other things which helped my communication skills, I'm not saying I'm perfect, don't judge me on that basis, but I am saying Rotary also helped me to become a good public speaker, emceeing at functions when we were young people, at weddings and parties. So please work on your communication skills. Being articulate is a key item if you're going to Rainmaker. Understand your target market. What is that market you're targeting? Who are those clients you're very interested in? Identify the ideal clients. When I say ideal, I mean it literally. Actively engage in networking opportunities. Cultivate relationships with both legal and non-legal professionals. I think I've mentioned that. Try and expand your horizon horizontally and vertically with regards to what are the potential clients. Then there are aspects which I would just like to mention before I conclude. I don't know how I'm standing time with my presentation, but one of the things which I've also realized is what are those fraternities where you can get work from? Have you ever listed them down and analyzed them to say that this is the fraternity which I can belong to and I'll stick to it? I'll just give you an example. I joined the sailing fraternity some time back. The fraternity was mainly of people of 50 years. They were around 50 years. In 20 years, I've made business out of them. I've come to Naivasha to sail. I've gone to Kilifi. I've gone to Dar es Salaam to sail, competing. But I've made business out of those people, and they've been very good referrals. I used to play cricket. I stopped because I couldn't practice, and the ball was hitting my body so much, I went into sailing. But I'm just giving you this as an example. What is that fraternity you can choose? And make sure that you'll benefit out of it so that you can be, for the 20 years later, most of these old Muzungus are selling their properties, their real estate, and sometimes they come to me to assist themselves. The market is bit down, there are no buyers, but I'm looking at it as an opportunity which came out of a social item I decided to participate in for the last 20 years. That is just an example as one of my areas of the parting shot. Let me go to my parting shots. And this is where my passion is as I speak to young lawyers. I could have spoken a lot today, but I know we're going to have an interactive session. So I'll save some minutes to make sure that I have that bit. But my parting shots are this. Success in law is not just about knowledge, but also about relationships, adaptability. Very key. Your reputation is the most valuable asset. You won't thrive when you have a bad reputation. If you're going to be dragged in the mud, social media, because of something ill you did to some particular community, fraternity, or an individual, it's not worth it. Build with integrity, honesty, and excellence. The legal profession needs innovative thinkers, problem solvers, and leaders. As practitioners, we're all business people. Business is all about what problems you're solving. Remember, we're trying to teach you about business development. Identify the problems which you can solve and become the expert and the guru that area. Like I said, digital transition is here and is here to stay. Create a digital transformation agenda. And last but not least, improve your competence beyond what you think is sufficient. If you feel that what you have is sufficient, then understand that you need to improve. Look out for those other areas where you can get better. And I can assure you, you will thrive. You will become a fantastic rainmaker. When I meet you, you'll buy me a drink. Don't forget me when you become rich, wealthy, and powerful. I thank you very much for the opportunity I've been given by ELS. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senior, but you cannot do away with the adage that it's the senior who buys drinks and lunch for the juniors. Thank you for that good presentation. Our members on call, the presentation will be shared. That one I'm 100% sure. And one thing I should tell you, just from the recently shared presentation by Senior Counsel James, I picked a few things which I have applied and I know it works. Please don't hesitate. Pick his presentation, read it. It can make you better at your workplace. We are going to hear from Senior Counsel still, Sadok Magai. From Senior's presentation to yours, what have you prepared for the listeners on call? Senior Counsel, you're welcome.
Oh, thank you, Philip. I thank also the team from East African Society for inviting me to speak on this occasion, and I also thank the audience for being here to listen to whatever views I will share with you for 25 minutes. You know, it's not so much which, but I can talk on some issues which basically is not a theory, but is coming from someone who was really being the practice, starting from zero. That is, I'm a founding partner of WIM Advocates in Dar es Salaam, and I'm still here. The rest of my colleagues who started the firm together have already left, and it is also a bit in life with 27 years now since we formed this partnership, and we are still here in the market. So I'm sharing I'll be sharing my views, touching on my topic, which I've been allocated is, of course, the major topic is building rainmakers, but mine will be on essential skills, talking on essential skills for young lawyers, called next generation lawyers. And I'll be talking on the strategies of onboarding and the retention of clients. These two areas. So I'm really honored to have this opportunity to talk to what I call the future of our profession, the torch bearers of our profession, the lawyers of tomorrow. And in my view, if you are just put in a business context, it is about like talking in a going concern business, going concern. That's what I've tried to really put narrow down. And two, I'm also mindful of the concept note which you were given to this major topic, and there's a word which really caught my mind, which is clients are the lifeblood of every law chamber. So this is something which will be featuring on the issue of onboarding and also retention of clients. What skills do we need as a lawyer? And as I said, I will be talking from my own experience, so it's not so much about theory. My talk again here today is also premised on two assumptions. One is that if you're in a law firm, that your law firm have a plan. I assume that your law firm has a plan or policy in place that encourages their lawyers develop business and collaborate with one another to attract and retain clients. You must, as a firm, I know you guys, most of you are working in firms, and we have different philosophies. But what I believe is there might be some experiences which people can speak later on that they lack, maybe they don't have. There's some issues which they are not comfortable with. Two, even if you are a solo practitioner, I believe that I'm talking to someone who has in place a plan, a policy for business development and retention of clients. So these are two assumptions which my talk will be based on. That if it's a law firm, we have a policy plan in place for encouraging their associates. We are talking about young lawyers. To me, as James was talking earlier on, it means we are talking to associates who are not maybe today partners, but how are they encouraged to be able to really participate in marketing, develop the business, so that they become rainmakers, bring money more revenue to the business. And that can only happen when there's opportunity given by that particular firm. If you're alone, again, you must have your own policy in place or plan. So let me go start by onboarding. What are the skills which someone needs, and which I've learned through my 27 years as a practitioner, as a lawyer in advocates. First of all, I realized that you must have a client first. You cannot, you only board a client. So you must get a client first. So what are the skills which, in my view, one should possess, should think of? I have come to realize that the way professional clients on board or choose their advisors mirrors how we choose friends. How we choose friends. And realize or remembers going through literature and also my personal life that you normally, when you choose a friend, we need a friend who you are easy with. You need a friend who makes you comfortable. You need a friend who you can trust and who can help you at time of need. You need a friend who's dependable. This is your friend. So if you take these qualities, that you need someone you are at ease with, you need a friend you are comfortable with, you can trust, and who can look after you in terms of need, and also who is dependable. It is the same when it comes to clients when they on board us as legal advisors. They also need a lawyer. I think my view has been sometimes, we have been talking, and James was talking about the technology nowadays, aspect of it. So nowadays we're meeting on social media, we're meeting on LinkedIn, we're meeting on Twitter, we're meeting on Instagram. All these are avenues which you can advertise someone. Two, when we started it, some of us, I joke normally with my friends, some of us started with what we call BBC, born before computer. It was impossible to get the platform which young guys, the lawyers of today have. Lawyers of today have. At our time, there was no computer. So we could not even know emails, nothing like that. So, but again, what I've realized that even with the technology platform which we have now, there's still a very important aspect which a lawyer should remember, that the personal relationship, personal contact is very important. You develop, first of all, someone is seeing you, talking to someone, one-to-one maybe, or over lunch, over dinner, over breakfast, or on, as James said, on social engagements, in a club, whatever, what he was talking about, in a golf course, in a church, whatever, it creates some sort of intimacy, and the people trusting you, knowing this is a person. And it represents a strong case to the other person talking to. So regardless of where we are with the technology, I would also advise that the personal relationship, personal contact should be considered as one of the primary skill one should have. So James has talked about how we should be behaving yourself, whatever. But it is something which, as I said, one cannot determine that this lawyer is good, you're comfortable with, if he has not maybe sometimes met you. Of course, we have, for example, cases whereby now we are working for clients who are offshore clients, who we don't meet. We meet e-meeting, like what we are talking now, or through emails, whatever. And but what I realized that whenever we meet these clients, so we may suppose you travel to Nairobi or travel to London, whatever, when you meet them face to face, you find a different acknowledgement and appreciation of these clients, because they'll be so much happy to see you. So it's also good if you have clients offshore. It's also good for to ask you to advise that sometimes it's also good to spend spare some money for the business to travel, and if it's a big client, just talk to him. You have wisdom. It's quote a score. It's very important in order to have a personal touch, personal relationship. So that's my important. We at a position now whereby through as a business, whether you are solo or whether working in a law firm, there is an issue which I think James was talking about, reputation, whatever. I would say your branding yourself. And this I don't want to talk so much. Yeah, and I think if you remember, one of the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, once said, he was defining what a brand is. So he said, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. So it is about reputation, what James was talking about. How do people judge you? So your brand is, IMA's brand is when we're not there in the boardroom. And now they want to onboard a new lawyer. That will be the image of IMA, that will be the brand of IMA when the CEO or the board of directors or the management of a particular company says, no, you go to IMA because X, Y, Z, or whatever. You go to Philip because of this and this. You go to James because of this and this. That's your brand. When you're not there, that's what James, what Bezos says. So what has been my experience when it comes to feedback? How do clients really engage you? Normally, apart from personal contact, which have helped IMA from 27 years to really build the business, we also get, for example, now clients are telling us, disclosing how they got our information. One, maybe they say it is because of they got our contact through online directories. We are subscribing to directories like Chambers Global, practice guide, IFLR 1000, Lego 500, and the other reputable directories ranking lawyers globally. So as the advice to my my friends, learned friends listening, I think you should also spend some time looking for these directories because they really help to really create your image there. They act as marketing tool for your business. Yes, it is also part of it's an expense. It's costing. It's not for free, but it's better to try. And some clients, have also learned that, you do good to a client. You do good work. Normally, a client will refer to another client. And in my view, there is the best marketer or business development who can help you in the development of your business is your current client. If your current client is happy, he will refer you to another client. So I think sometimes when we get instructions from new clients, they disclose that are being referred to us by so-and-so, who is an existing client. So I think, in my view, as I say, these are the qualities of how a lawyer should be in order to really make sure that he gets new clients. Now, let me go to the second aspect of my presentation, and how do we retain these clients now? Because we spend so much time. James was talking about new clients. We talk so much when we're in our chambers, in meetings with partners, we normally think about how do we onboard new clients. But again, my experience has shown that satisfying the current client will create more opportunities sometimes than looking for new clients. If you have a big corporation, for example, working for. So I'm asking this question to my audience. Let us ask a question. How many of us still have contacts with childhood, primary school, secondary school, even university friends? How many of us? We call it lifelong friends. How many of us? The same applies to clients. I think it was just as a testimony, we have clients who we started with in 1997. Still, we're still working for them today, 27 years after. So it shows, this also shows a strength. That's, we're talking about retention of clients. So if you qualify, if you ask a question, if you answer this question in a positive that, yes, I still have contacts with my friends from university, from high school, and from primary school, you're talented. In my view, you're talented. And I think I will just, so how do we achieve this? Retaining clients, how do we achieve this? In my view, it is better to be a good listener. Listen to your clients. Sometimes we go there, want to provide the answers to questions. Listen to our clients. Be a good listener. Do not pretend that we have answer to every problem. And to me, to us as human advocates, listening is very important because one of my senior friend, a lawyer, was joking the other day. He used to tell me that, when a client calls to inquire about the services from their firm, it will be like someone deaf. He doesn't speak, he doesn't know how to speak. After they've agreed on the scope of work, a rate of engagement signed, and also maybe fees agreed, then it will be like, talking endlessly. But you have to understand first. Onboarding process means that you understand the scope of work. So listen to your client. So listening is more important. And For him advocates, for example, yes, yeah, because Philip was talking about us giving, not talking from theory, but giving us own experience. What I mean by listen to client is also giving our lawyers the skills of how to onboard a new client. We have protocols in place. For example, we have, before onboard any new clients, we have to conduct a clearance, conflict check. We have to prepare after understanding the scope of work, because sometimes we are mandating our associates to really get the scope of work from a client, so that when he prepares a letter of engagement, it is included, and then most of our associates are working under certain partners. So all the partners supposed for a particular practice will be copied in all that communication. So in order to understand the terms of engagement, the associate will be taking over the instruction from the client, of course, to be reviewed by the partner. And then after preparing the letter of engagement, you agree on the fee. That's what we do. And then after that, we sign the letter of engagement before we start the work. So there are protocols in place which the firm has, which the associates for, and also provided by the partners. And as I said earlier on when I was starting this talk, it means that, you know, the firm, him as a firm, are giving our associates the opportunity to really interact and talk to the clients in order for them also to develop the skills. And also clients, sometimes, you know, one good indication which makes us now know that this associate is very good. You don't get calls from a client direct after working with an associate. You will find the client will be contacting the associate direct instead of you. So if you get that point, you understand now, I have someone I can trust. And the two, you might sometimes, you know, find an associate getting fresh instruction from the same client he or she has been working with. So this also shows the skills of how this particular associate has been very good in really interacting with the client. So I think but this is only possible because we have given the mandate, where the police and the mandate and the associates know that this they are doing for the business. So what should we be? We should be trusted. Our clients should trust us. And I think I would advise my lawyers to look for, there's literature, someone who is very good, old guy, but I think I'm not ashamed to say that you should also look for his work. It's called David H. Meister. He has written a lot on the legal profession. And what he says about, he's an expert in the business development. So what he says, there is a quote which I am very happy. I normally I'm very happy to quote to share with you. It says, "The most trusted advisors are not those who have a ready answer for every problem, but those who can, through questions and conversational styles, put the other person at ease, make them want to tell you about themselves and engage in a dialogue." This is what David H. Meister says. And it is in his article called "Young Professionals Cultivate the Habits of Friendship." It is a long, old article for you guys, 2005 article, but very good, which very good article, which I think if you have time, you can read about it. Do I save time, Philip? Eh? How many minutes? Eh? No, you are mute.
You have 3 minutes, senior.
Excuse me?
3.
3,
That
okay. All right. Now the last one. The last one is about technology. James has said a lot about technology. Let us embrace technology. There is no alternative. And we've seen it. What we are doing now is also technology. We didn't have these facilities in the past. Now we can get instruction through Zooming, like you are doing today. And the more so, if you remember, during the COVID era, COVID time, working from home was a new concept to us in Africa. And also, with a lot of platforms have been developed. And today, we've also technology doing work which human beings have been doing for a long time. So it is also taking part of the human expertise. Therefore, there is no alternative for young professionals. Embrace, and learn technology to use it. If you don't do it, you may be a dinosaur in the near future. So, and I don't want to talk so much about this because it is it's something which is among us. Just recently in Kenya, we are told the demonstration, the Gen Z were using social media. It's technology which organize all these guys. Instead of in the past, maybe people should have been walking around, but it was just on maybe one phone, one person can mobilize a million people over phone. So technology should be embraced. And on this, I think there is a book called, it's written by somebody called Richard Susskind and Danny Susskind. The title is The Future of Professions. The Future of Professions, How Technology Will Transform the Work of Human Experts. Very good book if you are interested to read. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Senior Counsel Magai. It's always interesting to hear from you. I last heard from you in Zanzibar, but your insights are always very useful. Thank you for that presentation. I wish to recognize the presence of very prominent advocates on call. I see Senior Joanita Bushara. She's a member LDC. I see Lulume Gaston from ALP Africa. I see Brenda Ongalo from Brenda Ongalo LLP, Nairobi. I see Philbert from S&L and so many others. We're happy to be with you. We have over 150 members on call. The next presentation is also from Senior Counsel. Senior Counsel, now you have a problem. It's the Gen Zs you're talking to. Put that in mind. If you don't give them practical solutions, we are just going to do our posters, put them online, and we come to you because you're where the Gen Z issue is. Let us hear from Senior Counsel Kiratu Olivia from Nairobi, the city of Gen Zs. She's going to, she will share with us how she is thriving in that situation. Otherwise, we have so many attendees. I see Caspar Okiru from Prudence Advocates. So many. Collins Omondi, thank you for being here. Senior Counsel, if you're ready, please take it on. We want to have a discussion after the next presentation, a discussion of minds, and we see, is it what you're telling us that you're really doing? But I already see people appreciating. Thank you. Senior Counsel.
Thank you so much. So first, I want to clarify that I'm actually not Senior Counsel. I have many years of experience, but I can only aspire to be like my fellow panelists. I will disappoint you that I'm not a Gen Z. I'm close to a Gen Z. I am a proud millennial. And I also want to confirm to Senior Counsel Sadok Magai that I'm also BBC. I hope I'm not disclosing my age, but I'm also BBC. I was also born before computers. And I'm also trying to adapt to technology. Part of my topic was to discuss about strategies for building a thriving legal practice in a highly competitive environment. I'm going to give you practical tips. And what I did is I created a course I call Personal Branding Roadmap, and in it, I give these strategies. And the best way to follow what I'm about to teach you is to follow it in order of sequence. So I'm going to take you through step by step. If you were to create a business development plan for becoming a rainmaker, how would that business development plan look? The very first thing I would encourage you to do is to choose your focus. When I talk about focus, there are two ways you can actually direct your focus. You can direct your focus to a practice area or to a sector. Now, the difference between a practice area and a sector is a practice area is how we as lawyers organize ourselves. We say that I am a family lawyer. I am a corporate and commercial lawyer. On the other hand, a sector is how clients organize themselves. So you will say, I have a client in the pharmaceutical industry. I have a client in the manufacturing industry. So a sector is how clients organize themselves. A practice area is how we organize ourselves. Today, what I'm focusing on is practice areas, how to choose practice areas that you can focus on. Now, there are two schools of thought. When you think about narrowing down your focus, and as Senior Counsel James Mukasa Sebugenyi talked about, before you identify your ideal client, he talked about your ideal client and identifying the areas that you will focus on. There are two schools of thought you must appreciate. Number one, they are generalists. So generalists believe in being jack of all trades. They think that it's safer not to specialize in a particular area. And they say that when there's a downturn like what we had during the COVID-19 pandemic, you never lack work because there's always something that you can do. So those are the generalists. And for generalists, there are particular benefits to that. If you're a generalist, your work tends to be very interesting, very flexible. On the other hand, we have specialists. A specialist will focus, for instance, on a particular area and master that. Now, there's a quote that says, the riches are in the niches. So that razor-sharp focus allows you to really have a deep understanding of a particular practice area, giving you a competitive edge. So what is the best approach? Is it to be a generalist or a specialist? I advocate for a blend of both approaches. So I don't think you should be too much of a generalist so that you don't have the benefits of specializing, and you shouldn't be too much of a specialist. The sweet spot I have found through the years of doing BD is 3 closely related practice areas. If you can find 3 main practice areas that are complementary, that would be the sweet spot. Now, what do I mean by complementary? Think of what we learned in commerce and economics in high school. A toothbrush, toothpaste, a car, fuel. Those are things that go hand in hand. So you want to find practice areas that are closely related. And I'll give you an example. Real estate, financial services, construction law. Those are areas that are closely related. And why do we want these areas to be closely related? Well, you spend less in terms of marketing because there's a pollination of knowledge, resources, and of your clientele across those 3 different domains. That is why we advocate for you to blend that approach and find 3 areas that are closely related. But you must be asking yourself, I'm young, I work in a law firm, I don't have the freedom right now to choose a practice area. Maybe you're in an establishment where you're required to do everything. That's okay, but you'll find in your career as you begin to progress, you tend to get more freedom to choose what to specialize in. And if you do have that freedom, then I have a matrix that I created that can help you identify what practice area you should focus on. So I have a system called COPPA. COPPA is spelled K-O-P-P-A. K-O-P-P-A. So K-O-P-P-A, K stands for knowledge. Do you have academic or practical knowledge of that area? You need to ask yourself. O is for opportunity. In economics, the 2 most important forces in the market are supply and demand. So you want to ask yourself, am I doing this because it was an elective in my 4th year? or because I enjoyed it when I was doing my bar exams? Or am I doing it because the market really does need this service? You can't sell something that people do not want to buy. So you must identify, is there a market for the services in this particular practice area? Then P is for profitability. We've got to keep the lights on. At the end of the day, a business, even a law firm, has to be run for a profit. Now, when it comes to profitability, you want to ask yourself, do I get a high return when I put in my resources, my time, my energy, my money? What is the return that I get from investing in those resources? So when you're looking at profitability, what you want to understand, there are certain practice areas where to make a profit, you need a high volume of cases or matters. On the other hand, there are other practices you just need a few briefs to be able to make a profit. So that the latter is a more profitable area. So you want to look for a higher return, a practice area that gives you a higher return from the time and the resources and the money you put in it. The next thing is passion. I had our seniors today talking about passion. If you're going to choose an area of focus and you're going to choose it for a number of years and you really want to hone in and become known and to build a reputation, you don't build a reputation overnight. You do want to choose, if possible, something that excites you, something that motivates you. So P is for passion. Finally, and I don't want you to miss this, is advantage. A is for advantage. The A in copper is for advantage. Is there something that gives you a competitive edge in one of those or all of those practice areas? It could be you did pupillage in a particular law firm where one of the partners or the partner you worked under is a guru in that practice area. And so you've benefited from that. It could be you worked in-house before and you worked in-house, for instance, in an industry where that practice area is relevant. For instance, maybe you worked in-house in a bank and you're thinking of specializing in financial services. That gives you an edge. It could be it's where you studied. Maybe, for instance, there's the University of Aberdeen, for instance, that's very well known for its energy and natural resources courses. So maybe you went to an institution that is known for its dominance in a particular field. Well, that gives you an advantage. It could be you have practical knowledge more than other people. For instance, you want to specialize in sports law and you have been a sportsman. That gives you an advantage. So those are the things that you should use to choose your focus. So the next thing you want to do is to understand your ideal client. I know Senior Counsel talked about this, so I'm going to not belabor the point of the importance of identifying your ideal client. I'm just going to tell you that as a marketer, there is something called a client persona. So in all marketing, when people are marketing newspapers, whether they're marketing children's toys, you must understand who you're selling to. And a lot of times as lawyers, we forget to do this. We forget to really be with pinpoint accuracy, be able to tell who's going to be interested in buying my services. So to do this, what you want to remember is that last I checked, there are approximately 1.4 billion people approximately on our continent. There are thousands of companies. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack, trying to identify a person or an organization who can buy your services, which is why you need to build your understanding of who are they. So to create your client persona, some questions or some demographics you want to look at: what is the age of this person? Is it an individual? Is it a company? What's their title? Is it head of legal? Is it relationship manager? Is it a legal assistant? What's their title? What's their gender? Does it cut across both genders? Where are they located? Are they based in my jurisdiction? Are they in another jurisdiction? What's their education level? Are they college educated? Are they more than college educated? Do they have a number of degrees? What number of degrees are we talking about? What about traveling? What are they exposed in? What are the activities that they engage in? You know, Senior Counsel James Mukasa also talked about joining something like the sailing club. Before you talk about networking, first know your ideal client so that you know where to find that ideal client. If it's a company, what's the size? What's the structure? Once you create a client persona for the 3 practice areas that you should have now identified with Copper, you're on your way to making some really good progress to become a rainmaker. We didn't actually talk about it, but it seems that we are all on the same page on one thing. Business development is not just about attracting clients. In fact, my definition of business development is that it's about attracting work, converting that work, delivering it, and keeping it. You know, there's an English proverb for those of us who are born before computers. There were English books that used to have English proverbs. And one such proverb is, a bird in hand is better than 2 in the bush. There's something in marketing we call customer lifetime value. And what it is, it's a metric for the total amount of business you can get from a single customer. Now, you may be rushing to get the big and flashy car that Senior Counsel was talking about, but I advise you to play the long-term game. Think of what Senior Counsel Magai said, that he's been with clients for 27 years. That's what I want you to cultivate. We would be doing you a disservice to tell you, get a single file, get a single set of instructions and be satisfied. The best way is to retain clients. That's the way to build a practice. So I encourage you, please retain your clients. I'm going to give you tips on how to focus on retaining. So remember, business development isn't just about attracting clients. It's also about converting, delivering good work, and finally retaining those clients. And I have a quote for this, and I always say, great technical ability and a good reputation will get your clients through the door, but it's good service that will keep them in. Please don't forget that. When it comes to client service, one thing that we need to address before technical approaches is actually our mindset. The thing I've found working in different law firms, consulting and doing a lot of work in BD is sometimes as lawyers, we feel our clients are doing us a favor. And we have what I like to call the Cinderella syndrome. Now, for those of you who might be unfamiliar with the story of Cinderella, Cinderella was a beautiful girl who went to a ball, and when she appeared at the ball, the prince only had eyes for her. Now, I want to break it to you that we are not Cinderella. Ours is a highly competitive environment. There are many other people at the ball, and there's a quote that says, if you don't treat your clients well, other people will treat your clients well for you. So, and because it's competitive, you don't want to be complacent. So here are some of the things that you can do to be proactive about ensuring you serve your clients well. Number one, you want to create a service workflow. There are 4 main parts of your client service workflow that you need to pay attention to. Number one is how you onboard your clients. Number 2 is how you deliver your work. Number 3 is the communication and the frequency of that communication through a transaction. How do your clients prefer to communicate? How will you be proactive about such communication so you're not being reactive? Finally, is how you offboard a client. Those are the 4 pillars of good client service. And if you're able to master those 4 areas, I would encourage you to take a piece of paper when you have quiet time after this. Just write down, how do I onboard clients? In all the practice area and the services you provide under the practice areas we've now identified, how do you onboard clients? How do you ensure you deliver good work? Are there checklists? Are there templates? How do I ensure that you give exemplary service? Finally, how do I offboard clients? How do I communicate? How frequently do I communicate? Another thing I want to encourage you at a young age to do is to have your own personal responsiveness policy. Independent of the firm that you want to work in or you work in, you want to have a policy of, this is how often I respond to emails, this is how long I take, this is how long I take to reply to LinkedIn messages, this is how long I take to respond to letters. And the hours and the response rate that you put in there should be better than your firms. So try to do better than even the firm that you are in. Try to beat those metrics. If the policy is 12, 24 hours, try to tell yourself maybe 12 hours. So that's on responsiveness. Another thing, don't be shy to get feedback. At the end of a matter of a transaction, make it the culture where you ask your client for feedback. How did I do? Were there things you would wish that I would improve? That will help you perform better next time. Another thing you need to know about clients is clients hate surprises. Don't surprise them with something that they didn't expect. Try to be proactive in your communication. Things will always go south. Things can't, Senior Counsel Sadok Magai talked about 27 years in practice. Things will go south sometimes. When they do become, clients really prize the value of a calm, trusted advisor. Now that we've talked about the service, now let's talk about becoming a master in the 3 areas we've identified. Now, to do this, I'm going to encourage you to learn and master those 3 areas. For you, there's something that you must know, that clients nowadays are not just content with our academic knowledge of the law. They want something called business acumen. They want the advice that you give them to be flavored with commerciality. They want the advice that you give them to be practical. They want you to be a trusted advisor to understand the industries they operate in. To do that, you must then understand your practice areas and their industries, the regulators, the trends in and out. Let me just take a sip of water. The points are coming. I hope you're enjoying. Let me know in the comments if you're learning something. There are many of you, but it would be good to know that you are listening and you're getting something. Are these points making sense? Please let us know in the chat. So let's talk a little bit about how you can be a master of these areas. So I have an acronym called READ. READ as in read a book. And the first one is routine. E is for elimination. A is for automate, and D is for digest. So R is create a learning routine. What will you do on an annual basis, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis to learn and to master these practice areas? On an annual basis, it could be you'll do an online course or a postgraduate certification. On a monthly basis, it could be part of your CPD that you take a course aligned to your practice areas. On a weekly basis, maybe you can say you will listen to a particular podcast that has knowledge in the area, that has information on the areas you want to master. On a daily, it could be for 30 minutes a day. You read articles from a particular site that has information on an industry or a practice area you want to specialize in. Commit it and put it in your diary. Make your learning routine. So annual basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, and daily basis. And you can start with just as much as 30 minutes, that's enough. E is for elimination. There's information overload. For us who are born before computer, myself and Senior Counsel Sadok Magai, and I'm assuming Senior Counsel Sebugeni is also born before computer like us. You'll find right now we deal in a world of information overload. For us back in the day, information overload was going to a library that's fully stocked. But now there's information all around. So I want to encourage you, eliminate the things that are not necessary. Don't do your CLE just to get points. Decide very early when they give that calendar of the courses that have to be done. align it and eliminate other things that are not relevant to your practice areas and to the industries you want to specialize in. A is for automate. One thing I want you to do, and I want you to send me a message on LinkedIn when you do this today, is set up a free Google alert. All you need to have is a Gmail account. Go to Google and put an alert for the companies you want to follow, the topics you want to follow. And from then on, Google will be sending you a summary of the latest news in your practice area, in a particular company, regarding a particular company. So automate how you learn. And you can do this. I get my Google alerts at lunchtime, and after a few minutes, I'm up to date on so many things in the world. So set up your Google alerts. D is for digest. In a world where we consume knowledge rapidly, it's becoming a lost art to actually critically read. I want to encourage you to critically read and critically process the information so that you become a guru. So read text, listen to something. If you're into audiobooks, that's fine. But really try to understand what are the implications, what are the strengths and the weaknesses of the text or of the audio file that you've listed. This will help you to build a deeper understanding of the information you consume. It will also sharpen your analytical skills. So read, R-E-A-D. Now you're ready. You've chosen your areas of focus. You have a plan of how to keep your clients. You have a plan of how to stay on top of the game. Now let's build your profile. There are three main places I want you to build your profile. Number one, I want you to pay attention to your LinkedIn summary. One of the first places that people will interact with you is your LinkedIn summary. How you introduce yourself. First, it should be in first person. Number two, you want to use keywords. What do I mean by keywords? Keywords are words that come up quite frequently on search engines. So when you task to type something like top lawyers in Uganda, what words does it suggest? Does it suggest mining? Does it suggest corporate? What comes up? So you can use Google to tell you what keywords come up so you can start Googling your area. Top companies in X practice, top corporate commercial tips. Then you start to see suggestions of the words that Google has. As much as possible, you want to infuse those words. Number two, you want to also check on your Twitter summary. How do you introduce yourself in a very short and punchy way? Finally, everyone should have a legal CV if you want to be a rainmaker. It shouldn't just have a bio of what school you went to, your professional memberships, that you're a member of ELS. It should also have some matters that you have handled. Now, if you want to keep some things confidential, you can hide the identity of some clients, but of course, don't publicize a matter that should be confidential. But I encourage you to list at least 6 matters in your profile. Add as much detail as you can in your profile. This will help and create a good impression, because I always say when clients are looking for a lawyer, they want 3 things: knowledge, experience, reputation. And they get to assess that you have that in your CV. The next thing I want to encourage you is to update that profile quarterly. And then another thing I want to encourage you is to use a professional headshot wherever possible. These don't have to be expensive. And as you are working on your profile, I want to encourage you to do a social media audit. It isn't vain to Google yourself. Olivia is giving you permission to Google yourself and see what comes up. And if there are things that you don't like, then do something about it and fix them. When people meet you at a networking event, we'll be talking about networking. One of the first things they'll do is to search for you. If you have any thought leadership, any activities like Rotary, any other things that you've been part of, charity work, link them to your profile. The next thing I want to talk to you about is, how many more minutes do I have, Philip?
Olivia, you have already shot past your time, but
okay, let me
conclude. It's an interesting discussion. It's an interesting discussion, but I'll beg that you conclude. in the
Okay,
next.
let me just, I think I would have wanted to talk some more on LinkedIn, but we are past time. So what I will say is I'm happy to, if there's an opportunity to come back and just have another discussion with the young lawyers on LinkedIn and networking.
We shall create it. We shall create the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. You'll be back for the panel discussion. I see members are actually, the Gen Zs want to riot. They say you had more time, please add her more time. I'll add you 5 minutes.
Yes, please. She can have some of my time.
Has also accepted, please take up more. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself.
Thank you for everyone who has petitioned for me to go on. I appreciate it. Your petition was successful. Thank you. Let me not waste time. I want to talk about leveraging LinkedIn. Now, back in the day, for those of us who are born before computers, we didn't have what you have right now on LinkedIn. And I want to tell you, it's a game changer. I speak to young lawyers and I tell them, one of the fastest way to build your reputation, it was slower to do it many years ago, but right now, I want to tell you that LinkedIn is an effective tool for building your reputation. You can do this without a lot of money. In fact, LinkedIn is free. You don't need LinkedIn Premium to promote yourself. So I encourage you, and these are the reasons why. As lawyers, we shy away from marketing, and we don't want to be seen like we are soliciting or that we are marketing in a way that is unprofessional. But LinkedIn is a tool that is safe. If I was to be asked where you should spend your time and effort, I would say LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a tool. If you give it 5 minutes a day, and I'm going to tell you what to do with those 5 minutes every day, it's going to be effective enough for you to build your reputation if you're time pressed. Another thing about LinkedIn, in marketing, we say that there are two main types of sectors. There's what we call business to business and business to consumer. So when you think of organizations such as MTN, Safaricom, Tigo in Tanzania, for instance, those are organizations that market what we call business to consumer. When you think of organizations such as law firms, such as the firms we all represent today, those are what we call B2B. Now, the best tool based on statistics from year to year, the best tool for marketing in the business to business sector is LinkedIn. Not Instagram, not any other, the best at the very top. And I'm not saying Twitter doesn't work, but at the very top in terms of meeting and interacting with other professionals who need legal services, the tool that has won over and over again is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is drama-free. It will help you kill two birds with one stone. It can also help you research and monitor your ideal clients. So that is why I really want to emphasize. Now, remember, earlier we created a client persona. Now that we've created a client persona, when you go to LinkedIn, you just don't send connection requests. Now, in addition to your lecturer from college, I want you to send friend requests to people who meet your ideal client persona. So my first tip for LinkedIn is network intentionally. Number two is automate your growth. You may be thinking you're young, you don't have a lot of connections like the senior counsel on this call. A quick tip is to integrate your email address to LinkedIn, and it will suggest from your address book, whether it's Gmail, whether it's Outlook, it will begin to suggest to you people who you already know. So my other tip is automate your growth. Another one is be consistent. And I've promised you today, I'm going to tell you how you can take 5 minutes. I call it 5 at 5. 5 minutes at 5 at the end of the day during your commute or wherever. how you can just use those 5 minutes. That's something I've promised you, and I'll give it to you. Post at the best times. Not all times are made equal on LinkedIn. Post when they are the most eyes. And what's the best time? Optimum time is between Tuesday to Thursday, between 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. So your best content, save it for that time. Another thing I want you to do when you create a post, when you do post, I want you to always tag at least 3 people so that there is feedback and the LinkedIn algorithm sees that that is a post that people are interested in. Now, as lawyers, we can get very uncomfortable about talking about ourselves on social media. Here's a rule you should follow. In content marketing, there's something called 60-30-10. 60-30-10. Now, 60% of the content you should share should be educational sources that are not linked to your brand or to your firm. For instance, an article, for instance, in Kenya, we have something called the Business Daily. Maybe you want to be a specialist in tax, share an article in the Business Daily. That's your 60%. Your 30% is your own thought leadership, your own thoughts. Your 10% is when you humble brag. Your 10% is, I've been ranked in chambers. I've just finished this course. So don't use LinkedIn to boast. Have that balance, 60, 30, and 10. Now, for the 5 minutes that you have because you're very busy, these are the 5 things I want to encourage you to do every day to see results on LinkedIn. Number 1, you treat LinkedIn like you do your Outlook or Gmail. Check and respond to all messages on LinkedIn. Number 2, engage with at least 5 posts. Like them, but preferably comment. Number 3, post something. Share something. You don't have to start from scratch. You can reshare something someone has already shared with your thoughts on it. Respond to comments from a previous post. Finally, check your LinkedIn notifications and see if you can send a personalized message to somebody celebrating a milestone. That's where the business is. Somebody celebrating a birthday, somebody celebrating achievement, send them a personalized message. Next, I want us to talk about networking. So if you do those 5 things and you're consistent with them, you will see results on LinkedIn. The next thing is I want you to network effectively. I think Senior Counsel Sebugeni already talked about this. Identify the right events. Now, if you did your work properly, you know the events your client persona is attending. That's where you should be. Don't just go to events and conferences for the sake. Go to events where you will find as many people as possible that fit your client persona. Then there's something called the 4-post rule. Use LinkedIn when you're networking. When you're attending an event, post it on LinkedIn. Post before you go, post the day leading to, post the day off with a selfie of yourself at the event, and finally, a summary of your takeaways from the event. The 4-post rule to leverage LinkedIn. The posts before the event help people know that you're going to be at the event and they can look out for you and you can start your networking even before you get to the event. Use what you have. You may not have the resources that a partner may have, but I encourage you to use what you have. Senior Counsel Sebugeni talked about things like Rotary, church, clubs from school. Use what you have at your disposal to network. The thing about networking is not about quantity. It's not about how many business cards you get from an event. It's about the quality of connections you made. And if you're shy about networking, I want to tell you that you want to go, I encourage you, if you're maybe an introvert, or maybe there are also introverts who are good at networking, but if there's a reason you're shy, maybe go for a networking event with one of your seniors and mirror what they do and learn from observation how to conduct yourself in a networking event. Some sites that you can go to are sites like Eventbrite. They post some free conferences that you can attend. Get your feet wet and build your networking muscle. I think I'm out of time. I'll talk about client relationship management another time.
Wow. but you will share tips in the open discussion. We don't want it to end, and your petitioners are saying you are not Gen Z, you are not millennial, you are Gen Z. So they are petitioning that you join them. However, I wish to recognize we've been joined by another senior counsel still, Francis Jimara, who was on call. I think he's still on call. So it's that important that we don't take it for granted. And we have people on call from as far as Sudan. I see a Rockthorn. I see people from Rwanda. I've seen Douglas Eshe. I've seen Momuza Samuel. A lot of listeners who are taking, I'm personally taking down notes, not even just points, notes, writing notes. So it's a very good discussion. We are going to hear from Agatha Nisima. Agatha formerly worked with KAA. She's currently with Chihika as partner. She's so passionate about the young lawyer fraternity in East Africa. I've seen her participate in almost all events. And she is going to give us briefly what the challenges are, why we are not doing what we are doing. We're not just given resources at the workplace. What is it that we are missing not to be the rainmakers that we should be? Because what Olivia talks about is presently available. LinkedIn is presently available. Maybe we just didn't know how it is to apply 5 to 5, 4-post rules, etc. What Senior Counsel Sergey told us is presently available. Senior Counsel Magai, he talked about. So we need to know what the challenges are, which Agatha is going to do a presentation from the feedback she collected around the region. Thank you. Agatha, in a few minutes, so we can have that. People have burning questions. There are things you need to know. Thank you.
Yes, after such an interesting, after such a panelists, I feel there's a wealth of knowledge that we could pick up. Starting from where Olivia said, she said we should use what we have. So I feel there are no longer challenges because we've been called upon to use what we have. According to my presentation, one of the challenges I had identified and that had come out from several young lawyers was there was a challenge of building a strong network of clients. Why? Because as new lawyers in the market, you're competing with senior lawyers who already have a great network. For example, Senior Counsel Sevgen said he has a network of sailors. I didn't even know there was a sailors network in the East African region. So imagine a young lawyer competing with somebody like that for a client in that circle. So it can be very difficult to develop such a relationship with a potential client you've identified. It will take time, it will take effort, and young lawyers will need not just the knowledge that has been talked about, they need to work extra harder to build that personal, to build their personal brand and reputation within the legal community to compete with senior lawyers. The other challenge I had identified was demonstrating value to clients and potential clients. As a young lawyer, when you're attached to a law firm, you have a supervisor who is supervising your work. And if you meet a client, you need to showcase your expertise and skills in order to attract and retain a new client. So this can be challenging because you're competing for these clients with more experienced lawyers who may have a track record of success. And we have heard from senior counsel that have spoken today, some that over 30 years of experience. They have had these clients for over 30 years. As a young lawyer, coming and attracting that particular client will require you to have a track record, which you do not necessarily have at the beginning of your practice. So wanting to be a rainmaker could be a challenge for a young lawyer based on those circumstances. But also, law schools are churning out so many lawyers out there. You're not the only young lawyer trying to attract this client. So as you pursue being a rainmaker, you're not the only one. There's Philip over there. There's several other young lawyers in Kenya, in Tanzania, in South Sudan, in Burundi and Rwanda. Each one of us is trying to attract a certain kind of client, and we all want that same client. So you find that it becomes a challenge also because we are competing with already experienced lawyers out there. And then the other challenge I had identified is balancing time between the billable work and the business development activities. For example, we are here for this webinar, but it is during work time. It's billable time for some of the young lawyers that are on this call. So having to balance between the billable work and the business development becomes a challenge because they are lawyers, but they cannot be. Why? Because they have to work for the billable hours in a law firm where they are working. So it becomes a big challenge trying to establish yourself as a lawyer in the legal practice and having to meet your already workload in a law firm. So they have missed out on this opportunity to get this particular information that we are all getting right now. The other challenge that I identified as we went on in today's discussion was the high cost of business development. You know, Senior Counsel Sebugen, you talked about going for a training in, I think, Seattle or somewhere for communication. Young lawyers might not have that privilege to attend such kind of development, business development. Why? Because it takes not just time of the billable work hours, but also it takes money to invest in yourself. But as Councillor Olivia mentioned, we need to use what we have. We might not need to go for such BDS activities that are costly, but some of these opportunities that are being given by East African Law Society, we are here and we're getting this information free of charge. So thank you to our panelists once again for that information that you're giving to us freely. And then lastly, there's limited opportunities for specialization. And I liked Olivia's presentation where she said we need to bundle up at least 3 practice areas because there's always a conflict when senior counsels tell us, you know, senior counsel says, please specialize. Young lawyers, you need to specialize, stop being a jack of all trades. But our market, our economy, our East African economies cannot allow that kind of specialization that sometimes we are advised to do. So young lawyers have got limited opportunities to specialize in specific areas of law due to the size and structure of the economy that we have and the kind of clients that are out there. The client wants you to do everything from company law to if they have an insolvency, if they have a litigation matter, if the director in the company has a family matter, they would want you to expand your expertise. So this can be a challenge for young lawyers to develop that specialized expertise in any area or attract clients looking for that kind of specialized legal services. So you'll find that senior counsel will be able to say, you know, I'm dealing with only insolvency, I'm dealing with only banking, because they're at a level where they can actually do that. But as a young lawyer,
Agatha, we seem to be losing you. She seems to have glitches in her network.
but I was concluding to say that despite the challenges that young lawyers face to become rainmakers, there's some opportunities that I have seen from today's presentation. So by seeking out mentorship, and most of the people on today's panel are potential mentors for young lawyers, and also pursuing business development opportunities, leveraging our skills and networks that we've been told, you know, leveraging your church, your high school network, and young lawyers can overcome some of these, you know, challenges that have been mentioned, and then eventually we shall become all rainmakers in our different jurisdictions. Thank you so much. I've saved time for questions because I know there are so many young lawyers that have questions, they have comments, and I want us to utilize the remaining time for that. In case, moderator, it's up to you to.
Thank you. We still have a few minutes, but I'm going to use these minutes for an open discussion. From the challenges that you have presented, I'll come up with a few questions that I'll share among the panelists. But I also recognize the presence of so many members from across the region. I see Emmanuel Lukasha, Pfizer from AfriCorps Attorneys, Tanzania. So many friends of mine across the region. I'll start with Senior Counsel James Sebugenyi, the first presenter. He has been so quiet. I think he's still on call. Please confirm if you're on call so that we can have an interactive discussion to understand the problem. All right, thank you. To understand the problem from your perspective, having been here in your presentation at the Young Lawyer Symposium, you did a good analysis of yesterday, today, and tomorrow's lawyer, which is so good. But from the challenges that we are having, starting from what you presented, breaking through the networks, what does it take? We know there are referral networks which are highly paid for. We know there are social networks which are also highly paid for. And young lawyers may not be in position most times to afford the subscription fees, among others. What advice do you give? And then the other question you need to make us understand, is it competing with the seniors or presenting your case as a junior to get the business that you would wish to have? Because many times it's a question of, you see, I got this client from this senior lawyer. Is it a competition, or we just need to balance and see that there is work to everyone? Thank you. And maybe lastly, what book are you reading and how do you think it's impacting on you and the profession? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip, and thank you the rest of the panelists who have been very, very helpful. We have learned a lot from what you had to say. Let me go straight to the networks. Young lawyers, don't try to get into traveling for communication training in America, where you have to get a visa, where you have to pay for an air ticket, accommodation, upkeep money. No. You live in an age of technology. Some of these things you want to acquire, if you want to go into those networks, are too expensive. Utilize the technology. I'll give an example about what Agatha mentioned, something about the communication training I managed to get. It was sponsored. You sit on, you go to this organization, they have a budget for training, you present your case to the organization, you're the company secretary. You're the one who takes the notes. The senior counsel is not even there. And there's a budget for training. And you're doing a good job in the boardroom. And they send you to America for a training. That's my personal life experience. I'm speaking what I got. So when you are consistently good at what you do, when you're a young lawyer, somebody will notice you. There are still good-hearted people in this world who are not malicious, who are not jealous, who are not bring downs, and they are willing to uplift. To me, that is an aspect you should not worry about. Then number two, on the networks, begin with the networks of your age group. Categorize the age group you are in. There are networks. They are the engineers you started with, the doctors, the nurses, the teachers. Remember those people who were very good in class, who knew everything? Those are fantastic networks to maintain. That guy who used to get, in our times, to 280 in PLE, 8 in S4, that's a good network. Begin with that in those schools you went to. On a class group, you will find you 100 of you. For the people you are with from S1 to S6. Are you telling me there's no business in that network? We were in S1 in 1980. It's 2024. We are 100 people on that network of the class of 1980 to 86. Am I touching the point, Philip, you've asked? So the networks are there. The church network, the community network, the tribal networks, the religious networks. Look at those. You don't have to spend money to get into the networks. Then I'll talk about the competing with the seniors. Most of us senior lawyers, at a certain point, you need an associate or an assistant for those practice areas. You remember what Olivia talked about? Get those 3 areas of practice where you're very competent, passionate, and comfortable. Make sure that that senior who you escort to do the work. At a certain point, T becomes so comfortable with you as the best person he can hand over that client to. I'll give you my personal experience. I've had a client since 1997. One client. It's a church. That church has been our client for all those years, since 1997 to date. But all my associates in my law firm who have worked with me on that client have benefited. When there are trips, I allow them to go. I no longer go. I only supervise at a strategic level. So you can earn yourself getting deep into that client. Some associates have left my law firm and taken big clients from me, and I've wished them well. I've blessed them. The client has asked me, are we safe? And I've said, I trained him. As long as he or she maintains the right character and etiquette, continue. I will stop for my other colleagues to comment. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Senior. Maybe one last thing. Which book are you reading? What are you reading?
Right now, I'm reading a book on professional development.
Senior, are you the Rainmaker at SL?
Sorry?
Are you the Rainmaker at SL?
I'm one of the Rainmakers at SL.
So there are a number of Rainmakers.
Yes, there are a number of Rainmakers.
Wow, that's so good. I hope my friend Nganwa is one of the associates who benefits from the travel.
He's seated next to me.
That's good. That's good. Senior Counsel Magai, your question is on the influx of lawyers. You have been in practice for over 30 years. You have seen it. I'll give you a few statistics here. Right now, the Law Development Center has about 2,000 students. Before COVID, the number of advocates was about 3,700 enrolled with the Uganda Law Society. Today, we are hitting 6,000. That means between 2021 and 2024, the number has grown twofold. We have another 2,000 coming. There's a huge number that has not yet enrolled, but we are all grappling for one practice space, for that one client. In one of the sessions, a presenter still from Tanzania, former chairman of the National Bank of Tanzania, told us they would make money off registering a company. They would get rich just registering one company. Today, a client comes to you with a premeditated mind on what to pay because his daughter or a sister to a friend is also at LDC. How should we handle this situation and emerge as the Rainmakers that you're training us to be? Thank you.
Philip, I think First of all, I wish to start my commenting on what James was saying is about trusting your associates. And I think in my view, is also for as a firm, is succession planning. It creates we're aging. At the end of the day, you have to go. So in order to make the firm survive your life, you should really trust and train your associates so that they can take over. It's a mandatory, so to me, is a must if we want really to leave the business in good hands. So that's why when you have a good trade associate, it becomes so good that, as I said on my presentation, that you don't get a call from a client. Instead, the client will be contacting your associates. You are very happy that now this is where I wanted this person to be, take over for me. Because it is just growing that capacity. So I think on that aspect, okay. Two, on your question specifically, I think one, it's not everybody who graduates from the university or from law school will become a private practitioner. We have also people who are interested in working in the government. Some also working in in-house legal counsel, whatever. So that area where some are going. And private practice is a passion. You have to like it. You have to really commit to it. I worked in the government for 8 years. When I left the government in 1998, I had a vision that I want to practice and retire as a private practitioner. Some come as a stepping stone to go to another job. For example, in Tanzania, we have so many lawyers when they become a bit popular, make some cash, they normally think about going to be politicians. So they go to member of parliament, whatever. So, but there are those who have a passion. So my answer is think long term. Think about specializing. There are so many new areas now which require lawyers. And as a millennial, as a Gen Z, we just known about it, you have so many areas now, for example, if I say, which you can specialize and concentrate on that particular area. It can be a new area, but it can also give you good returns in the future. So it's just a matter of investment. And I think, in my view, when I was leaving, maybe I leave you with this advice. When I was leaving the central bank in 1998, my boss by then in the governor of central bank advised me the following. You will, after accepting my resignation, he wished me well, and they said, professional life is long term. I can see you at the top of your professional career 15 years from today. That was 1998. So 1998, he said 15 years from there, if you come to the profession and you want to get money yesterday, it is not, you will never succeed. But think long term. I believe that there is enough big cake for everybody, irrespective of the age and whatever. Just think long term and concentrate, as my other colleagues have been saying, learning the new tricks, learning new areas, and choose an area where you can concentrate, where you can be an expert. Because the way we are going, as I said, I was born before a computer. So there are some tricks which I don't know. My other presenter was talking about how to use social media, LinkedIn. These are the issues which you can beat these old guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senior. I'll testify that the first time I saw you in Zanzibar, you said you work with all these gadgets, but you also work with an associate who answers your emails, who answers your texts. That's a good culture. Senior Counsel Protaze Ishengoma has left IMMA Advocates.
Yes.
He's now of counsel.
Yes.
Who is the Rainmaker? Who is the Rainmaker at IMMA?
Rainmakers is every partner. We were including associates. We have started the business. We did the marketing, but we are also teaching our colleagues to be Rainmakers. So if you ask me who the Rainmaker is, every other partner and every other associates and every other business support person, because it represents the brand of IMMA Advocates. It's a teamwork here. It's not about someone, about Magai, about Shengoma, but it's teamwork. It's collaboration, working together. in order to create a brand called IM Advocates. So it's IM Advocates, which is bigger. I borrow from Ferguson's words when he was talking about Manchester in his book Leadership. Said there's nobody, no player who's bigger than Manchester United as a team. That's why you saw the Beckham at his peak, saw the Ronaldo at his peak. You saw another was a defender who at their peak. He believes that the brand of Manchester as a team is bigger than the individual. Likewise, we believe in IMA, that IMA is bigger than Magai, than an individual called Magai. So it is teamwork, it's collaboration, which if you're working in a firm, if you're a partner, I think that's the philosophy which we should cultivate among ourselves. That will save us. If we're not there, the business will prosper.
Thank you. I've heard the same words from Professor Sempeva, who said the law firm is like a football match. There are many players on the field, but the win is to everyone. Someone may not even touch the ball, but the win is to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Senior, before you leave, post to us about 3 books that you may wish the young lawyers on call to read. More so on law firm management. I see a good reader. Thank you. And I'll tune to.
I think read The Outlier. There's
yes.
a book on The Outlier. I think you know it.
Yes. I've read that.
Yeah. And I gave you another one. The Future of the Professions.
Yes.
I think it's a very good book, and I think okay. I can send you. I will post you. I post some books which apart from those 2. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Olivia. Back to you. You're the rainmaker of the discussion today. You're the rainmaker of the discussion, and I think yours should be easy. From Agatha's challenges, the issue of balance between billable time and work and business development. Because you see now, mostly us who still go to court. You have a matter at 9. It is called at midday. So all the time you're at court. You have something else to run after. If you have 2 matters a day, your day is just gone. You don't even have time to reply a text. How best do you advise on this issue?
I think find some dead space, and I think also be realistic. If you can't afford an hour a day, then let's work with the 5 minutes, for instance. There is a gentleman called Noah Kagan who created a marketing method called quant-based marketing. And he basically growth hacked a tool called Mint, a budgeting app. And he got it to get a record number of subscribers. And what he says, when you're choosing your marketing technique, you want to choose the easiest method and the most effective method. And that's what I'm going to tell the young lawyers. If you're stretched for time, even budget is a constraint, then find the tool that will give you the most results with the minimum amount of time. And I think we've talked about things like LinkedIn. Another thing is be simple. I was going to talk about client relationship management and find dead space. For me, it could be your commute. It could be your lunchtime. I remember a few years back, I was working in a law firm that didn't have a lot of resources, and I had a lot that I needed to do in terms of business development. And I really started to learn. I couldn't afford to hire designers to do some things. So I started to learn how to do some things on my own. And how I did it is I took a few minutes over my lunch break. As I'm having lunch, I'd take a few minutes and learn something electronically. Online courses, short YouTube videos, that's how I build my knowledge. The knowledge that I have today in terms of technology was through those small lunch breaks. So learn over lunch even, learn over your commute, learn passively. You can be doing your chores at the end of the day, a run, a walk, as you're listening to an audiobook on Audible. Find those little pockets of time where you can make things work, but definitely don't leave things to chance. leverage technology. I think all of us have talked about technology. You have technology working in your favor. We talked about Google Alerts. Automating your Google Alerts, just a few minutes, will take you 5 minutes to read them. If we could just say 10 minutes a day, if that's realistic for the young lawyers on the audience, let's say you take 15 minutes. 5 minutes, do your LinkedIn. 5 minutes, read your Google Alerts. 5 minutes, reach out to a relationship. Maybe it's a referral source. Maybe it's a senior in your firm. 5 minutes, pick the phone or do a WhatsApp and reach out to somebody who can potentially give you business. Let's just say 15 minutes for BD. I think we can all afford that. Your mic is off, Philip.
Thank you once again. Thank you very much. I think there are things that we can't avoid. You have talked about LinkedIn. Shefo Shabangu has also given a similar comment and given some views on how to leverage. As we go to the parting shots, let me say a small story. I have a taxi driver in Nairobi who drives me around when I'm in Nairobi. He told me in 2019, he told me a story. He told me, you see, my brother, me, I'm a victim of technology. I worked in a bank up to 1979. They introduced computer. I was an accountant. I knew how to write my math. When they introduced computer, they gave us 2 weeks. I said, now me, I've worked for 10 years. You're telling me computer. He left the bank and bought a car. So he does taxi. So in 2019, he realized there was little business. Then someone told him, my brother, there is Up Taxi, Uber, Bolt. So now you're out of business. He told me, now my brother, you see, next time you come back and you don't find me, I'll be in the village. Now, I think in May this year, I found him, he's still doing his business. He told me, now my brother, he was taking me to 4 points. Then he said, you see, my brother, now, the Airbnb is going to take over hotel business. These days, I drive more people to Airbnb than to hotel business. So the story in his being a victim of technology is that he failed to adapt. Listeners, the knowledge that has been shared here just requires us to adapt and follow suit. As we go into the parting shots, I'll go through the comment section slowly and briefly. Most of it is thank you. There's even a Tanzanian colleague who is writing Luganda. Webale nnyo, SC Sebugenyi. Thank you, SC Sebugenyi. Thank you, SC Sebugenyi. The Goliath of the legal profession, as referred to by Michael Mogil in his book, The Game-Changing Advocate. Every lawyer has a Goliath in his jurisdiction. Thank you, Senior Counsel. Olivia has also shared a website, www.ilfaafrica.com, ILFA Africa. It's a good program for those who wish to network. There was also a question of how lawyers can use AI to leverage legal practice. Abdul Malik, you'll have to follow one of the sessions, the Young Lawyer sessions on YouTube. We have handled this topic extensively. We have also handled topics on specialization, like sports law, IP, IA, and so many others. Maybe one senior has also shared another book, Avoiding Extinction, Reimaging the Legal Services for the 21st Century by Michelle Kowalski. That's another book that you should look out for. Just in 1 minute, we need parting shots. Parting shots, I'll start from down south. Senior Counsel Sadok Magai, what's your parting shot? Senior Counsel Sadok? Senior Counsel Sebugenyi seems to be more prepared.
Sorry, I was muted. I muted myself. Only one simple advice. The future is here. for you, for the young ones. You have the energy and everything available for you to prosper, compare it to the way we came from. So it's your time. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Senior Olivia, your parting shot.
Business development is not just about attracting work. It's about converting and keeping the work. A bird in hand is better than two in the bush. Work on keeping the work once it comes to you, and you'll be profitable.
Thank you very much. Will you be available if we need you for the young lawyer sessions in Uganda?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Any reason to come to Kampala and see James and his team.
Thank you. Senior Counsel James Sebugenyi, your parting shots.
The work you put in at practice shows at the time of performance. The work you put in at practice shows at the time of performance. You can't wing it. You have to practice. You have to have a passion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And lastly, Agatha, Vice Chairperson, East African Law Society Young Lawyers Committee. Your parting shots, please.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank the panelists that have joined us today and for the insightful discussion that we've had. My parting shots are overall really becoming a rainmaker in a law firm requires persistence. It requires exploring your networking skills and those other skills that Senior Counsel Sebugenyi talked about. So we need to be more proactive in seeking out opportunities for business development, but also to develop law as a business, because like we've been told today, law is a business. And if you're going to be a rainmaker, you have to treat it as such. Thank you so much. You're muted, Philip. Please unmute.
All right, thank you. Thank you all the panelists for your wise words and insightful discussion. I'm happy that, and one thing I would wish to share with the people on call, we have a generation of senior advocates who are willingly ready to share a lot of knowledge. I always have interactions with Senior Counsel John Ohaga on sports law because that's where my interest mainly is, and he's always available anytime. He will share something. He's a judge of the tribunal, of the Kenya Sports Dispute Tribunal, but he's always sharing with me. So it is good that we use their time when they are still here to share with us. We've seen a lot of resourceful information to us. Senior Counsel said, I don't know what time he puts in to organize the presentations, but his presentations, I've shared a bit on the WhatsApp groups, but everyone is asking for the presentation. So it is good that we use this time. To the listeners, this year's East African Law Society AGM is in Kampala, Munyonyo. Please make sure you come and join us. We shall have this physical young lawyers interaction still in Nairobi in August 28th, 29th. We are yet to confirm the time, but please engage in these activities. I've personally taken on networking as something I budget for every year. So wherever East African Law Society goes, I'll be there because I meet people who send me instructions just on phone, because we met in Arusha, we met in Zanzibar, we met in Burundi, Bujumbura. So it is critical that we don't just attend these sessions for just attending, but we take something out of it that we can use to develop ourselves. Otherwise, thank you, everyone who has been in attendance. Angela Ocheng, Raymond Bavaruga, your hand has been up throughout the session, so I took it as a default. But everyone who has been on call, please, thank you very much. I see people from Rwanda, Singin Hughes, Cynthia Chitala, Diana Maina. Our time is used up. Members, you are free to leave. This session will be shared on ELS social media platforms. including YouTube. The presentation from Senior Counsel Sebugenyi will also be shared on the different platforms, including WhatsApp. Thank you. You can leave at leisure.